Wow, Neil Armstrong. Hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be on the moon. I just saw it on TV.
Oh, there's a tape delay and with all solar winds.
Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
You don't see the curvature of the earth. That stuff is flat.
Globebusters taking over. Bye bye moonlight and rover. NASA so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is. Globebusters taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster. But the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is. Get the shovel for the space hubble. Piecing up the puzzle. Need to bust your bubble. Evil gonna crumble, yeah? Sit down, be humble. Got the ball, you better fumble. You get mad cause I just fight about your uncle.
And then they call me the liar. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable the pathetic techniques that they have to use to prove their heliocentric model.
Bob shot the president, Jaren got the evidence. It was slaying Jesuits and Zach them is evident. That the earth electric and it's residential residence. It's heavens and I hope to settle in like some sediment. If we so wrong, why they lying to discredit it? That's not too intelligent. That's a guy, not an in court, but we ain't really in the settlement. It's time to awaken from the pseudoscience sedatives.
Globebusters taking over. Bye bye moonlight and rover. NASA so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is. Globebusters taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster. But the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is.
Inner World Productions.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
All right.
And that's it.
Thank you, Team Globe. Let's go to Flat Earthers here now. Let me go to over here. Who's going first? Kaleb, you're on mute.
I can go first if you guys want.
Sure. Okay, timer's up and 15 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Are you sharing?
Slideshow. I might just do it from here. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it like this. I can't get it to present.
There should be a little button up in the upper right, little present button. Can't really see, it's a little small.
Nah, I'm not able to get.
All right, just that way.
So, yeah, I'm just gonna do it like this. So the question is the Earth a spinning water ball that goes 500,000 miles an hour through space while player sits in the exact same spot, or is it a level topographical plane that could possibly go on forever? We will discuss this today heavily. Let's go on to the next slide. Let's go over a few things which we shouldn't be seeing if the Earth were a ball of the dimensions and models claimed by mainstream science. Selenilian eclipses, long-distance photography, as well as expecting water to convex to its container. Our atmosphere, I can't see the, let me just move this. Our atmosphere existing next to the vacuum of space with no container, which was kindly reiterated with Globeman's introduction. Selenilian eclipses. So during a selenilian eclipse, which is a lunar eclipse where we have to believe we're in between the sun and the moon, and the Earth's actually casting a shadow onto the moon, you can see here during some of the selenilian eclipses, we're seeing the shadow start from the top and go to the bottom, as well as we're seeing the sun and the moon both above the horizon at the exact same time. You have to believe that this is some insane looming effect, which is casting the moon and the sun all the way up into the visual perspective of the terrestrial person on the ground. You have to believe that you're not actually seeing the moon here. You're not actually seeing the sun when you're seeing a selenilian eclipse. These are just refracted images of the actual physical objects. let's keep going. Long distance photography completely destroys the globe, completely just wrecks it. There's no way that anybody can say that this is just perfectly modeled on a CGI model or whatever they want to say. There is 6 miles of missing curvature between these 2 points. These peaks are at like the most, I can't remember the exact height of these 2 mountains, but I did the math before, and there's about 6 miles of missing curvature, even if you add in the elevation of both of the mountains. So, sorry, Globers, we are just seeing way too far. Keep in mind, you have to believe that this is some magical looming effect, making the Earth appear as if it's flat. You aren't actually seeing these mountains. They are being refracted perfectly to the horizon. So, this is going to come up a lot in this debate. There's going to be things said like refraction, when nobody's going to have any specificity of what kind of refraction is going on. You can invoke 7/6R, but you still have to invoke the radius of the Earth, which is assuming that we know the center of the Earth, and we've only dug about 7 miles down, which is, in my mind, insane. As well as we're seeing, this is a mirage here. You guys can see in the top picture, this is what an actual mirage looks like. This is not a mirage. This is the Chicago skyline being seen from over 50 miles away, sometimes as far as people see it from 80 miles away when the sun backlights it. And you can see this picture at the bottom right here showing that it's being backlit by the sun from over 80 miles away. The tallest building in Chicago is 110 stories, Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, which rises 1,451 feet. Again, you have to believe that refraction is just perfectly refracting these buildings as if to make it appear that the Earth is flat. Maybe refraction isn't actually refracting the skyline to the eye level. Maybe it's just the Earth is flat. So let's go on to my last one of long distance photography. Everybody should have seen this, but if you're not familiar with this, this is called the Black Swan. It is an oil rig that was seen from 9.41 miles from a 1-foot observer height, necessitating that the Earth's radius be over 200,000 miles. Again, all that the Globers have is to say refraction. When we look over long distances, refraction doesn't work to refract things up. It actually refracts things down. Hence why when I see videos from Globers or Globey specifically, he'll show videos of boats being half hidden. That's the refractive index of the atmosphere refracting the image down. It's not the physical curvature of the Earth because there is none. Water proves easily that the Earth is a level topographical plane. When fluids are static, meaning at rest, they are level at the surface. Everyone should know that. The surface of the Earth is covered 70% by water. We are supposed to believe that all of this water just convexes at the surface to the rate of 24,901 mile circumference that mainstream academia purports. Whenever we look at water, there's no terrestrial observation you can show us today to show that water bends. Water does not bend. It's completely level. It will not bend 8 inches per mile squared tangent to the observer's height, to their viewpoint. You can prove this through just natural physics. You can look at this. You can never bend this water bottle to make the surface of this water bend. Hence why, and we'll get stuff like this. We'll have Globers show like a little droplet of water, which this is actually due to electrostatics to the water. That's why it's doing this, holding this adhesion. And this is not to scale. Comparing 1 drop of water or a little bit of water in a vial is not... you can't compare that to quadrillions of gallons in the ocean. That's literally just a non sequitur. It's just a fallacy in and of itself. And then the last point that I'll make here, and then I'll pass the time on to Austin or Derik, whoever wants to go. Gas pressure, like was said in Globeman's opener, gas pressure, having gas pressure or a gradient, both. It necessitates that we have a container. You have to believe that this spinning water ball is sitting and coexisting right next to the vacuum of space, which is 10 to the negative 17 torr. This would equalize. There's nothing stopping these from equalizing. Jaron has some good thought experiments where if we were to create a vacuum the size of a room, put a shoebox in the middle of that room, have a lever that's operated by Bluetooth that opens up that shoebox with atmospheric stuff in it like oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases. If we open up that container, it's going to seek equilibrium immediately with the vacuum that's surrounding it, being the room. Why doesn't this happen with our atmosphere? This can't be explained. If it can't be demonstrated at the surface of the Earth, you cannot invoke that gravity is holding it at the troposphere, at the very top of the atmosphere next to the vacuum of space. Makes absolutely no sense. I'll concede my time to whoever wants to go next.
Derik, you got it.
All right, hold on. Let me get my screen sharing.
Hold on,
Kaleb, you got to end your screen share.
There you go.
Let's see. All right. I got a couple videos in here. I'm not sure if you guys want the Globers want them or not, but welcome, guys. Welcome to the most controversial topic on the Earth, and it just so happens to be about the Earth. And that's what we're going to point out today. We're going to not look up to the sky as the globe people want to try to prove the ground that's beneath their feet. We are going to look at the Earth and the observations that we can make and come to the conclusion whether or not they're possible on either model or just one model or both. So essentially, the things that we're going to go over, we're going to go over that all of the photos of the Earth are fake. They're provably fake and admittedly fake by NASA. We're going to talk a lot about curvature because when we are talking about the shape of the Earth, the shape is pretty important, and the ball would make it. You would have to have curvature on a ball. So we're going to talk about the curvature and how an airplane flying over a curved object would also have to curve with that object. Globeman pointed out that level is level. No part is higher than the other. I'd like for you to just look at this globe here and tell me if no parts are higher than the other. You have to believe that they're not higher than the other because of the center of gravity. So it's all just a whole bunch of guess games and trying really hard to avoid the topics. You're going to see what we'd like to see the globe people do is prove that the Earth is in motion, prove it's a sphere, and prove that you can have an atmosphere next to a vacuum. Water does need a container. And by the end of this presentation, I hope you all know that NASA needs to be defunded because they're not doing their job. We are going to see a lot of different fallacies come out of the Globe Earthers today. They are going to get you to try to look up to prove the ground, as I've been saying. We're just going to look at the different shaped balls and the shapes of the continents and where's the rest of the continents that are supposed to be in these pictures and how they're constantly changing. If the Earth were a ball, we would not have composite images. We'd have real images because we would have billion-dollar satellites flying around through space. So that's just one of the big deals. The airplanes here, if you want to look at the design of a SR-71 Blackbird that travels 2,200 miles an hour, very sleek, very aerodynamic. And then you get this space shuttle here that clearly does not look like it's going to withstand this pressure from those speeds. And if you just look at the difference in the level plane flying and the rocket that's flying, you're going to have to come to the conclusion that if a rocket follows that path to follow the curve of the Earth, airplanes would too, but we don't see that. We see straight lines. And the straight lines dip into the horizon because of perspective. And you're going to learn that today. Over a 2,200-mile flight and 1 hour time, this airplane would need to overcome 432 miles of curvature. And the Globe people are going to try to tell you it's 1 mile at a time, which doesn't work because their curve of their Earth would be physical. And if the physical Earth curves 432 miles over the distance of 2,200 miles, then you're going to have to overcome that to maintain the altitude as you fly straight and level over the Earth. And in the meantime, you also have to remember that the Earth is also rotating. And the Globe people like to say everything's moving together, but if that were the case, it'd be like a river. Rivers flow in one direction, and if you're not going against the current, everything's fine and dandy. But if you try to swim against the current, that becomes a problem, and you will realize really quickly that that current's going to slow you down. But we don't see that in airplane flights. We don't see that in wind. We don't see that in anywhere over the Earth. Just want you guys to think about how big the Earth would have to be for that rocket there, that parabolic maneuver to somehow orbit the Earth, right? Because if that's all it takes to get over the Earth, they're telling you that when your entire line of sight covers the entire Earth, because they're going around it. So not very good. And as Globeman was talking about seeing the curve from an airplane, it's not the flat earthers that disagree with you. Well, we do disagree with you, but Neil deGrasse and others have done the math to see whether or not you would see the curve from even 53 miles up during Richard Branson's flight to space. He went 53 miles up. I got a video here we'll play later of Neil deGrasse talking about how you can't see the curvature from that height. And airplanes fly between 5 and 6 miles up. Richard Branson went 53 miles up and didn't see the curve. Same with Felix Baumgartner. He didn't see the curve at 23 miles, but we're expected to believe we're seeing it from the ground, as Globeman showed in his intro, and from the air. And if you notice too, the curve doesn't change as far as how much curvature you see on the ground versus up. Even though the higher up you go, the angle would change. You would see more. It's always the same. never enough to be the curve of the Earth. And what we're looking at is refraction here. And I've got a quick little video here. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to play it. Talking about how gradients in the atmosphere changes, or in this case, this tank changes the way light travels through it. So this is just a quick little video.
I don't think you shared with sound, so go ahead and narrate.
Oh, shit. Dang it. Hold on. I could
You
do
could
it.
just narrate, like talk over it. You don't even have to reshare.
I could share it right here. Hold
going
on. I got it. I gotcha. All right, we'll restart. Sorry, guys.
Regular water, so all the
Good?
sugar that
Yep.
dissolved in the water stayed at the bottom. Basically what that does is create a density gradient where it's densest at the bottom and least dense at the top. So if you think that you haven't seen this phenomenon caused by this gradient index, you're probably wrong, because this is the same phenomenon that causes mirages. In fact, a little bit better than laser light, you can follow the path of the bottom corner of the box and look how bent it looks. So watch as I get down low, watch the background here, watch how it lenses everything. In fact, it makes it look like there's a slope here. So you can see the edge going up there, but there's actually not a slope there. It's actually just flat. You can see it's just flat like that.
Add sugar, what you do, you fill the tank with water, then you pour sugar into it later in the bottom. The sugar at the bottom starts to dissolve, and that makes the refractive index, the density, essentially the optical density of the water will be higher, lower down, and light bends towards a more dense medium, which is what normally happens.
And just real quick, guys, cold air is more dense than hot air, and air coming off of the ocean is going to contain a lot of water. And if that's the case, as the light travels to your eyes, it's going to be moving through a more dense medium, and it's going to bend. And as you just saw, it bends downward, not upwards.
How much time does Derik have?
The air is dense.
That was the 5-minute
You
bell,
see the
so
light.
he's dipping into.
I'll be
Austin's
right.
over.
I'll finish up. So here's the what they did was they put a skyline behind this, and as you can see, it compresses it to what we actually do see when we look long distances over water. And yeah, I've got another video I'll show later, but yeah, game over, guys.
Okay, and Globe team went over about 5 minutes, so Austin, you have about 5. I'm sorry, they went over 1 minute. Austin, you have a total of 5. You're muted, though. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, my bad.
There you
Okay. So cool. I'll share the screen. Let me back it over here.
Okay.
It's all good. Just kind of ripping anyway. Okay. Share screen. So there's a lot of claims that I would like to address. We'll just address them during the debate. I think it's best to hear it all discussed. But one of the things that people always talk about is the sky. I think that people need to understand a basic concept. I don't understand why people don't understand this. It's just common logical sense.
Are you sharing? Sorry.
I'm about to share it now. Yeah. So here it is right there. So the globe Earth was quite literally designed from the sky. And so if people don't even understand the basics of how we came up with the globe, to come in on the internet in 2023 and pretend that they're slam dunking on flat earthers is pretty laughable. The way that we came up with the globe was we looked at the sky and we engineered a geometric claim of the earth based on what the sky does. If you turn around and say, hey, look, the sky matches the globe, that proves the globe. That is logically bankrupt and fallacious and ignorant, and shows that you don't even know how we came up with the globe in the first place. So I'll go through this real fast. Of course, one of the things he brings up is the idea that we see counter rotations and that the Southern Cross would debunk it because of where they see it on a flat Earth. And they show you this depiction right here. Now, of course, this is from Not a Professor Dave, and this is laughably a straw man, right? That's not the direction those people actually look. I wonder why the Globers always leave out the true directions. So let's look and see what Solarium shows as the actual direction so we can get to the bottom of this. Here's the Southern Cross. They all are at 2140 UTC. You can see that down here in the bottom right here, we have Salvador. You look at the top right, you can see where we see the Southern Cross. Oh, look, it's all the way down at the horizon, and it's never exactly south. It's always southwest. We look over here, also southwest. So all three observers from Salvador, Perth, and Johannesburg see the Southern Cross southwest at different positions in their sky at the same time. So when Globers turn around and they say stuff like, we see the stars at the same place in the sky, all looking south on the globe, that's actually patently false. Even Solarium disagrees with you. That's not where we actually see it. So if you want to see a little depiction so maybe you guys can understand it, here's a quick video. Oh, I may not have shared with sound though. You have to click the little box, don't you?
The 3 dots, and then scroll down. You'll be able to do it.
I'm gonna reshare, share sound, bang, bang. All right, so I think he narrates this pretty well. Couple slip ups. I'll just play it.
So the best way to explain the Southern Cross observation from 3 different locations in the Southern Hemisphere at the same time is the Walter Bisland's model. So we have one in West Australia, one in South America, one in Africa. If we say that this is the star on the sky that we're all going to resemble, see it's right over Africa. Say this is the star that we're going to see it. This is the one we're all going to see, right? Crap, screwed up. Let's say this one. This one's the one we're all going to see.
All right, so look at this
If we
star right
take
here. Will this represent our Southern Cross for
the
intended
observer
purposes to
and
understand the
move 'em,
concept?
let's see, right here. So this guy would see it, say right here.
Okay, this purple star is where we are seeing it through our azimuthal grid of vision. That's where the star actually is. As we move it over, there we go. We see that actually this star in the sky didn't change position, but where we observe it did change position, and it happens the same over here. Now, what the ballers try to say is that this would require light to bend in a way that's physically impossible, basically like a script. I like to point it real fast. They always leave out the directions. It's hilarious. They just repeat each other. So when we actually go and throw the real directions, how does it work on the globe? So we're supposed to all look south and see the Southern Cross, but when we put the actual observational directions at the same time at these different positions on the globe, they don't all look at the Southern Cross. So the irony is that alleged evidence has completely backfired. I would love for you guys to explain to me how you're all looking southwest and seeing the Southern Cross at the same time at different positions. You can't. And just to verify the validity of this is not some ad hoc explanation to try to make the globe work as this dude tries to say, which hashtag thanks Walter, he made the flat earth model for us. You guys just repeat, made this up, but this is an AI basically explaining what you guys are going to say, so we don't really need to.
Walter says light would have to bend for that model to work. Bendy light rays. My daddy MC2 said light can't bend that way. Stupid flurf.
Okay, so that's all you're going to get is bending light rays over and over. So I don't know how much time I have. I'm trying to breeze through this
30
really fast,
seconds.
so you guys understand the basic concept. We have an azimuthal grid of vision. Now, time and date, suncalc.org, everything that you guys use, Stellarium in the globe paradigm uses this exact model. You take your zenith to the position directly over you. This gives you the meridian along that line. What you're going to do is establish what's called your azimuth. That is your horizontal direction on the horizon. Then we take altitude positions to the stars. We map this out 360 and we get an azimuthal grid of vision of our observability, and that's how we actually map the sky. And that's where we made the globe from. So this is how we actually see. We have that 360-degree field of view if we turn around, and this is how we map the sky. Now, what we know is that when we look at reality, we have crepuscular and anti-crepuscular rays. So what this shows us, if the sun's coming from over there, but over here, it looks like they're converging down to the horizon. Well, this is an optical effect of perspective. That when we look around, we have a convergence. The sun is setting in the opposite direction as this is. So we know that we have a dome of vision effectively. Even in the globe paradigm, they have to invoke this to explain anti-crepuscular rays. So when we look into reality, they want to claim that these light rays are parallel. But if we look at it inside of a dome of vision, we would see this curve right here. If you look closely, you'll see it converging on the horizon to the left, converging on the horizon to the right, curving to combine the two. Well, this is what we would expect in an azimuthal grid of vision. It would curve. So the globe claims that this is parallel, but it's not in reality. We see the same thing with, domes in the sky, right? And then we can see the dome of our vision replicated on a smaller scale. We have moon halos, sun halos, perihelions, all kinds of things. So in summary, the whole idea that we're looking in opposite directions with this little straw man cartoon 5-year-old model here, where we're looking opposite ways, is a joke. It's a straw man, and in fact, it backfires on the globe. They're all looking southwest. They're not looking south. They're looking at different angles. When you map them on the globe, they're not even all looking at the Southern Cross at the same time. So if you actually accurately represent it, of course, due to time zones at different times, they're all just looking south. This is a Mercator projection, of course. They're all just looking relative to their dome of vision, and that we can prove that this is how we see. And when we take the actual data, it works perfectly on the flat Earth.
Time.
So it seems that this has backfired on the Globers, and hopefully they actually understand what I'm saying, but I'll be more than happy to get into it. Jaren, how much time I got left?
That's it. Let's end it.
Okay, cool.
But just to
there you
point
go.
out,
So we'll get into the rest of the specifics.
Sure.
So let's get it.